Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. Let's take a quick look at XRP, see what's going on. I'm just going to double check a few important factors and recognize that we did just pump here a moment ago, roughly 4 hours ago, and in its history, we see these kind of pumps. They're almost always followed by some type of correction to follow. Okay, so just bear in mind we're not in a good position right now with the price action like just taking off because Bitcoin is pulling back. It's on the retrace. So we kind of got to be mindful of that. That's all I wanted to kind of make sure to kind of mention there. So doesn't mean we just sell and short to the ground, but the truth is we have a moving average range percentile notification here. If you can see kind of the red bar on the screen, anytime we see that happen, the price usually ends up going the opposite direction. So I wouldn't be surprised we continue a little bit lower, but let's look at liquidation ranges, kind of see. If we look on the charts here, there was the liquidation range between 245 and 253. Okay, so if we look here on the back end data, we can see there's that area. Majority of all liquidation has been fully swept. Quick congrats too, just want to kind of mention this here. Thank you again for the awesome feedback from my community. 40% on XRP here today, and then SUI 21% as well. We took 2 longs on Saturday as a hedge against our Bitcoin short. Our Bitcoin short, the average entry is 103.7. So we're more than 2/3 of the way to our profit target. So that's where it kind of helps to hedge your longs with shorts sometimes, depending on the market. Altcoins were just on fire this weekend. Now they're pulling back to their key level resistances or their previous supports, and it's a good thing for the most part. Okay, so overall, market's still in good shape. I think XRP is too, but is a correction anticipated? Yes, it is. All that being said, there's no liquidation really left to the upside. We can see liquidation delta here is now about 2.5 billion. That shows a lot of sustainability, a lot of volume in this coin, but it was all in one little short period of time. So oftentimes that will be erased. So there's a good chance we do retest that 240 to 245 range, which is roughly where we entered into our long position on Saturday. All that being said, local liquidation, sorry, this is open interest rather. Open interest, we can see 240 is that heaviest concentration locally. Outside of that, $2.20 is that secondary area. So the price does pull back to 240. That seems like a very logical place to consider a long. Secondary to that, 222 is that heavy amount of volume. Speaking of volume, let's look at just the daily time frame to kind of get some perspective. Ever since we've been in this range of $2 plus, we've seen the most amount of volume at 240. That's why I felt comfortable taking a long at 240 because we broke through that resistance. That's likely the new support for us. So just keep in mind that's essentially an area to consider. Basically opening a long position if we were to see that retested. Once more, you don't just blindly jump in though, folks. Make sure you evaluate how Bitcoin's doing at that time, because if Bitcoin's not doing well, it may not be advantageous to take a long on this coin. But altcoins are performing very well right now, with Bitcoin dominance being generally on the decrease, or the decline, and that's a positive sign. Daily time frame here still looks very good. We do have a stochastic swing to the downside. That's not like super surprising at all. Most coins are doing that right now. Just kind of that early indication of reversal. And keep in mind, when I say the word reversal, it doesn't mean we drop to the ground floor. Okay. Some people seem to think if it's not going up, it has to go down. Like, coins can literally range for a while, and that's likely what we're going to be seeing here soon. I think the local range is 240, upwards of roughly 260. Oh, speaking of this here too, I forgot to show this to you. Daily time frame, when you look at this here, you can recognize that the price action is right at 255. We have our previous one-day candlestick close. That's essentially a key level resistance for us right now. So I'm speculating we're going to see 240 to 255 as that local range here, effectively where the price action is going to be kind of jumping in and out of that little area until Bitcoin makes a move in either direction. Bitcoin goes sideways, though, I do think XRP will continue higher. So please recognize, I'm not bearish on this coin whatsoever. It's just that when we see this little bit of a manipulative pump, and then we see Bitcoin pulling back, it's almost always going to see a correction after that. Right? This coin is really good about pumping and then pulling back. It happens, I would say, 8 out of 10 times as a rough estimate. But once again, 32% of statistics are made up on the spot. Hope you see what I did there. Either way, the 4-hour time frame, we're still very bullish here. Everything's swinging upwards as far as the moving averages. While we're tapering off here on our RSI, we're still well above 50. There's a lot of reasons why we're still in good shape, and we don't need to kind of consider short selling at this point. I do think the price will continue to pull back, but you're much safer right now waiting for better entries on longs than you are to try to short to those levels. So me personally, I'm going to wait for 240 again to consider a long at that level. If Bitcoin is maintaining above 100,000, if it looks like it wants to run towards 97K, we may see that 220 range again for XRP. Just be mindful of that. Either way, thanks again so much for the awesome feedback too from my community on my my TikTok, Telegram, Twitter. I basically post shorts on every platform available, and it's been a very positive, wonderful feedback type of situation. So thanks so much again for that. Appreciate it. I'll keep that coming, and I hope you learned something today. Thanks so much again. We'll look forward to seeing the next one. Be safe out there, folks. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.